All right, here we go. Welcome to this edition of the Baseball Forward Podcast, a movement committed to passing the beautiful game of baseball on to the next generation of ball players and coaches. I'm your host, Ross Hawley, and I want to thank you for spending some time with us, wherever you might be watching or listening from. For exclusive video clips and outtakes of this and all the other episodes of the Baseball Forward Podcast, go like and subscribe to our YouTube channel and other socials at baseball_forward or at Ross Hawley 39. And for more information on joining the Baseball Forward movement, visit our site at baseballforward.com. Today's guest conversation is with the head coach of the 2026 WAC champion Tarleton State Texans, Mr. Fuller Smith. Here's episode 107 of the Baseball Forward Podcast. Coach Smith, I just want to tip my cap to you, sir. Thanks for coming on the show. Welcome to Baseball Forward.
Yeah, excited to be here, guys. And obviously, I've watched and listened to quite a few of your podcasts, throughout the last year or so. Man, it's awesome what you guys are doing for the game, and really excited to be on here.
Awesome, man. I appreciate that, and I'll just get right into it. I said this off camera. In the baseball world that I exist in, Tarleton State is talked about a lot. You guys were the 2026 WAC champions, and congratulations, the WAC Coach of the Year. That's got to feel pretty good.
Yeah, that's a staff award. You know how that works, though. When you win those, that's a team and staff thing. So
I like how you jumped all over that. But I'm gonna give you your cred. But
you're only as good as the people you're on the bus with, and we got a lot of good guys on the bus. So it's awesome.
I love hearing that. Well, congratulations, 2026 WAC champions. And Coach Fuller Smith, like what I was going to say is there's so much buzz about Tarleton right now, and it's just electric. You guys made it to the Austin Regional. You beat UC Santa Barbara in your first matchup. I mean, that is a quality team. You guys are competing on the national level, and you're a regional team. I feel like this is going to start becoming a pattern. Obviously, I don't want to jinx it, but I just feel like it's a mature group. I feel like you guys, the coaching staff is there, the personnel is there, and it feels like something is buzzing about Tarleton. And when I was talking to Coach Spees about a year ago, you could feel it building, and it feels like it's popped, it's exploded. Do you feel that around where you guys are walking around campus every day?
100%. People don't understand, like, the town of Stephenville it's known as the city of champions. I mean, they've won here in high school football, basketball, and other sports for years. Art Briles was the head coach here for high school high school football, and so they're used to winning. And Tarleton State football has had a lot of success, and obviously we've had success in other sports. Baseball has been the one that they have had success in Division II era and transitioning to Division I. It's happened probably a lot quicker than people thought it would. But when you pull back the curtain and look at the administration and the things that are happening at this school, it's not a surprise. It really isn't. I said that in our regional press conference. If you really look at it and what's going on here, it shouldn't be a surprise to anyone what we're doing, because you have to have people behind you, and when you have administration that's pushing, academics as much as they are athletics, because they know we're the front porch of the university. A lot of good things can happen if you got the right people on the bus with you, moving in the right direction.
Boy, I love hearing that, and I love hearing. I'm curious when you say the administration. I'm curious what that conversation looks like, because I can't imagine being a program, especially a college program, that is kind of doesn't have the support wishy-washy of administration. The fact that you guys are so well supported by the administration, what does that look like to you guys when the administration sits down, the athletic administration sits down, the brass sits down with you guys as coaching staffs? Do they say go win and do whatever it takes? Like what does that look like?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we have to deal with our budgets and everything like that. But when you look at it, it's like, what do you need? What do you need right now to help you win? And can we feasibly do it? And sometimes the answer is no. Sometimes the answer is give us time. But most of the time, it's like, let's figure out a way, if this is what you truly need and it's financially feasible in a smaller window, we're going to figure out a way to get it done. And I think that's the biggest thing is, and we're looking down range. This is not something that's like, hey, 2026 a great year. Go do it again next year. It's what can we do over the next 5 to 6 to even 10 years down the road to make this place a destination spot, a mid-major spot where we're constantly winning year in and year out. Doesn't matter who's the head coach. If it's me or somebody else, the program will continue to evolve and grow no matter who's sitting in this seat. Because at the end of the day, that's what you want when you're running a program. You're custodian. We're the caretaker of this program for as long as we're allowed to be. And then once we're gone, the next guy is going to step in and continue to build on that foundation. And so we've been fortunate to be in the right spot, right time, with the right people around the program to help it evolve. But I have no doubt that, 10, 15 years from now, if I'm still here or if I'm not, I think this program will continue to thrive and flourish.
Boy, I think you're absolutely right. Talking with Fuller Smith, the head coach at Tarleton State, on episode 107 of the Baseball Forward podcast today. I was talking with my friend, Coach Jim Schwanke, the other day, and we were talking about he winning national championships and stuff, LSU, blah, 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 right? And what's astonishing to me is how he said the feeling of winning and cherishing it is so fleeting. And I'm curious, sitting in your position, and I'm going to say it, the 2026 WAC champions, WAC Coach of the Year. Like, do you feel like, hey, I'm playing with some house money right now. Hey, it feels good. Like, do you get to sit back and say, whoa, this is pretty cool what's going on?
You hear, people in town are always telling you, congratulations, great year. You hear that everywhere we go. If we go to dinner as a family, somebody's going to say something. I think the toughest part is, you want to relish in it a little bit. And I think our guys need to enjoy it. Like I told our guys, you need to take 2 to 3 weeks and just, if you're not playing or you're not, get away from the game, get away from it and think back on everything that you've done this year or over the last 2 or 3 years to this point. But at some point, you got to come back to reality, and it's like, what's next? For us, we didn't really get that, I guess, that window, because as soon as we finished, the portal opened the next day. So we were in recruiting mode, already, and it hasn't stopped. I'm sure, maybe in August for a week, if we, me and family take a vacation, we'll sit down and just look back on it and go, man, that was pretty cool, what we did and what we were able to accomplish. As a group and as a whole. But, right now I've thought a lot about it, bits and pieces from time to time, but, my focus has gone back to 2027. What are we doing to make this program better? Because at the end of the day, like the expectation, like you said, it's been raised. The expectation outside of the program is, hey, these guys are up and coming. Well, for us to continue to do that, we got to continue to work every day like we were in last place versus we're in first, because it's pretty much reset. It's reset after this year anyway. So, we're starting from the bottom again. But I really, I'm thankful for the guys. It was awesome. What a cool experience. A lot of guys got to do some things they've never done before at a place that's never done it before at this level. But at the end of the day, we've had to move on, because if you don't move on and you relive in the past, you're going to look up and we're going to be sitting here in May next year, and we're not going to be playing a regional. We won't be winning a conference championship. And so, I think it's it's short-lived. You enjoy the moments, enjoy the journey you're in. But as soon as, I think the journey ends, the destination's done, you got to reset and refocus on the next destination and enjoy the journey you're in, for the next calendar year.
Man, I wonder what it feels like for you to sit in the position as a head coach, as you sit and you digest it and you start to plan for 27. Do you feel like you have to do more of the same? Do you feel like you have to change? Do you feel like what do you feel like the expectations for you internally are different with all the accomplishments of 2026?
Yeah, I think, when we finish this summer, there'll be about probably about a 2-week window where I will get very internal. I'll sit down and go over everything from the, in the program. So start to finish, what are some things that we need to do better as a program? But also I'll bring the staff in and go, what are some things that I need to do better to be a better, better head coach for you guys, to delegate better? Do I need to be more assertive in things that we're making decisions on, or do I need to let it play out a little bit more? What are some of the things that will make me better to make you better, and obviously make the kids better day in and day out? So, yeah, there's a lot of internal things that I'll go through. I think for about a 2-week span this spring, there was about a 2-week span where, we were dealing with some stuff, injuries and stuff that we had to work through. And, I closed the door every day for about 4 hours a day and was talking to people that I valued their opinion in the baseball industry or the strength and conditioning industry or other things that I think can help us improve. And a lot of it's validating what we do, but some of it is like, hey, we need to probably change this aspect moving forward, 12 months from now. We're looking 12 months versus, just 2 days or 12 hours. And so, you're always trying to improve every year. And a lot of the changes happen, Ross, like they can't happen immediately. If you start to change something mid-year, man, you're going to lose the guys. And so a lot of stuff that you have to change throughout the year for the next year, you have to basically plan and brainstorm, 6 to 12 months in advance and go, all right, this is how we're going to implement it. This is how it's going to work. And we're going to go start to finish with it. We're not going to do it for a little bit and stop. This needs to be something that, as long as it is improving our guys and they're getting better, because that's the main thing, is getting our guys better at the game. If it's going to help them, then we need to do that. So,
you know what? I'm as I'm sitting here listening to you, I was thinking of the word that I watched a lot of Tarleton State games this past year. I have ESPN Plus, which is beautiful. And anytime you guys are on, I love watching, and I love the schedule that you guys play. I love the WAC. It's fun baseball to watch. The word that comes to my mind when I watch you guys, I said mature earlier. Yes, mature, but I think the word that really comes to my mind is freedom. I feel like when I watched your guys play, free, just like they looked like they were enjoying it. They looked like they're together. You can't make that stuff up. And the word freedom to me as a baseball player, man, that's got to be one of the most important, powerful words in the game, because if you're playing free, you're playing the best you can. And that's what it looked like to me as your guys. I saw some guys laughing. I see some guys getting into each other a little bit and having fun, just like it's a game. When I say freedom to this group, and even not just 2026, but your group in general, would you say that's a pretty accurate statement?
100%. Like we talk about being unafraid to crash and burn all the time. Like, go for it. If you're going to go for it, just do it. If you screw it up, who cares? Like, it's going to happen. At the end of the day, you're going to fail 3 times out of 10 when you hit. I mean, there's going to be balls that just don't bounce your way. But, man, just go for it. If you don't ever go for it, you'll never know if you could ever do it. And so that for us, that's kind of one of our mottos that we talk about all the time, being unafraid to crash and burn, because, if you don't, you'll live with regret forever. And our staff, you've met a couple of them, when the moment gets probably the tightest, or however you want to describe it in the dugout, we're cracking jokes. Like, we're having fun. Like, because it's like in the biggest moments of the game, that's when we're having the most fun as a staff. We want our guys to feel that, because at the end of the day, like, if you lose, it is what it is. Like, maybe we didn't do a good job preparing you. Maybe we didn't do a good job, 6 months earlier of getting you ready for this moment. And that's our fault. Because at the end of the day, winning and losing a lot of times is the byproduct of what you do 6 months before that. And so, for us, we try to keep it as loose as possible. We want them to, respect the game and respect the opponents and all that. Those are big things for us. But, man, have fun when you're playing. Like our guys, they'll probably give our guys more banter than they will anybody else. It's because they're brothers. They like having fun together. And so I think some people probably think we're crazy, because that's how our guys operate. But I think that's just who they are,
What specifically, talking with Coach Fuller Smith, Tarleton State, the Texans, on episode 107 of the Baseball Forward podcast today, I'm curious if you had one thing to peg right now and say, boy, this is something, if we do better next year, we're going to another level. What have you identified that you think Tarleton could be better at next year?
I think being very intentional. Sorry, lights went up. Being very intentional daily. I think everybody talks about, hey, we've got this week span of tough week or whatever. We're doing this. To me, that's great. But how intentional and how much can you empty the tank in every single thing you do? Because we will consistently recruit good players and the right kind of players in this program. But if you can be intentional, very, very intentional, I think will be the thing for us next year in your work daily. You will reap the benefits of that at the end. You will get what you've worked for. You'll kind of reap what you sow. But I think that is one thing that I think we as a program can max it out, because that's the goal. You want to max out that aspect of it, because if you do that and you have a good player development plan with 95 to 100% of your guys, you're going to get better. But I think for us as a staff, like, we feel like we can always improve. I think those are things like you look at, if we can do this better as a staff, how much better will we be? And I think that's the challenge every year is picking and choosing things that we can improve on as coaches, because I think it'll make everybody, make all the kids better. Like, that's just a reality of it. But I think we look at that internally every year too. And it'll be a new group. It'll be a new set of challenges. I think the foundation of what this program is will always stay the same. But what are those things that we feel like are going to be extremely important moving into the fall? We need to harp on those things daily. And I think being intentional, because we will have a fairly new group offensively, and we'll have a handful of new guys on the mound. I think the intentional work and how we go about it daily, I think we'll reap those benefits if we focus on that, being one of the focus points moving into the fall.
It's funny to hear, because I think of, like, you guys this is a very good Division I baseball program, and I think how simple that concept is, intentionality and like consistency and show up and do the work, right? But it's, to all the listeners out there, it really is the separator. If you show up and you do the work, because most people can't. I feel like a lot of baseball players get distracted. I was having a conversation. I want to get your take on this. I was having a conversation with a young man the other day, and he said, what do you think my problem is, Ross? Like, what would you do if you were me? And I said, you know what? When I was 21, 22, if somebody, and I'm sure somebody did, I was just a hardhead idiot. But if somebody would have said, Ross, your baseball identity is a reliever. You can get 6 to 9 outs at the big league level with a fastball and a hook, but that's your baseball identity. You max your baseball identity. And he asked me, what do you think I could do better? And he said, I said, I think you need to know who you are, and you need to master your baseball identity, who you are on the field. So when I say your identity as a baseball player, baseball identity, how important is it for you, Fuller Smith, for you to communicate, you and your staff, to communicate to your players, to help them to understand precisely who and what their baseball identity is?
Oh, I think it's huge. If they don't know who they are, they will never reach their true potential. And a lot of times their identity can change over the course of years, or sometimes within the year. But if you're not defining, hey, this is what you are now, and this is what you need to be good at, and this is how you're going to get there. Here's the roadmap. We don't have 100% the exact answer, but this is a really good roadmap to get there to be successful. And once you knock that block, stack that block. All right, well, you're starting to master this. Now you may be able to do this now. All right, this is how you're going to get there. If you don't have those in place and they don't know who they are, they'll never reach that. The identity of our program will be very similar every year. And they know that. But a lot of times that's my identity. So that's who I am. And because I can't be anybody different than who I am. That's just me. I'm going to be probably a little more old school, a little more tough, gritty, like blue collar. Those are the things that will help define this program. And I can't change. I can't be the cool guy that has 17,000 sneakers. I just don't have that. It's not my wife. Fantastic shoe game. Me, not so much. And so I get her to buy my shoes because she does a fantastic job and she makes me look cool. But at the end of the day, like, I'm just a very simplistic, simple guy that wants to, maximize the gifts that God's given me. But those are the things that I know who I am. So I know my identity, and they will have some of those traits as they play, but I still want them to be free to be who they are. If you're going to have 17 gold chains, like, just make sure they're tucked in and you don't pierce yourself sliding into second base on your 20th stolen base. Or
Good point.
But my point is, like, if they don't know who they are, they'll never reach it. And a lot of times, I have kids. Coach Spees had kids. People don't realize this too. Words of affirmation are some of the most important things in life. When you have kids, you understand it more and more daily.
Amen.
You need to speak positive affirmation into young men because they will believe it. If they hear it and they hear it enough, they will start to believe it. And it's got to be sincere. It really has to be sincere. It's got to come from the heart. And so anything I tell them is the truth, but I've got to remind myself every day, like, you need to speak words of affirmation into them because they will become, what you speak. If you talk negatively towards them all the time or negative about them, they will become what you talk about.
Boy.
So, we don't, there's not a lot of negative talk unless it's like, hey, we're constructive criticism for fixing things, but we're also giving you a positive reinforcement on top of that. And I think a lot of coaches now miss that boat. I think it's probably because I wasn't the best player. I wasn't the most talented. So I probably needed some of that, like, hey, you're good enough, because I was hard on myself as a player and a lot of times as a coach. But I think having those positive affirmations every day built in, they tend to you see them reach things that they've never reached before. They didn't think they could do. And then they make another jump as a player and as a person and all those things that I think are important. So, but identity is 100%. But it can be, it can be molded. It can be, you always got to tear the building blocks down to build them back up. But you don't want to tear them down and never have a roadmap to build them back up either. And so I think those are really important things.
That's good stuff. Talking with Fuller Smith on the Baseball Forward podcast today. Oh man, we're in June. I got to ask because we were talking a little bit offline, and I don't know. It's not my world, so I'm just going to let you talk on it.
It wasn't the world we signed up for like 20 years ago either. So it's
hey, I don't get it. So what we're going is the transfer portal. I asked you how many guys were in the transfer portal, and where are we at with all of that? Like when I say transfer portal to Fuller Smith, what emotions do you feel when you hear that phrase?
Man, God bless. Anxiety for the kids. I mean, and that's the thing. Like, people don't they see all the great things of the portal. A kid has great years and develops and goes in and quote unquote levels up another level and has success and performs, and that's awesome. But you miss all the other things that happen where kids go in because they get bad advice from a family member or an agent or somebody that's in their corner, maybe hasn't been in their corner for a long time. They're saying, hey, you need to go in because you need to get X and you need to go here. And it ends up not happening. And a lot of kids will go in, and there's kids that have been in there 4 times in 4 years.
Golly.
And they've never reached their true potential because they've never had to fail and live with the failure, figure out a way to get better, and then improve their condition where they're at. And I think the portal's great because there's some really bad situations out there that kids are in and they got to get out of that. I understand that. But I think the biggest thing you're seeing is a lot of kids they're failing and they don't have the roadmap to get out of it. It's just a change of scenery, which is fine. Sometimes that is what they need. But a lot of times it's not. They need to struggle. And because when you struggle and when you go through tough times, that's when you get better. That's where growth happens. And
Good.
a lot of kids don't experience that because they just get a new scenery, new environment, but they're still the same guy. They still haven't grown over the last year. And I think that's where, where a lot of kids you're seeing not reach their true potential, whether it be on the field and off the field. Because a lot of times, baseball, it's mental. They got to deal with the mental aspect of handling failure and how I handle it, how I move on from it and grow from it, versus a lot of physical, development. A lot of times the physical development will happen naturally through age, weight room growth, wherever they're at. But yeah, I think that's the biggest thing I'm seeing is like, man, there's a lot of kids that like you look up 3 years from now, if you'd have put a gun in my head and said, hey, where's that kid going to be in 3 years? He's going to be playing professional baseball and he's throwing 50 innings in college.
Wow.
And he hasn't developed, and that's tough. But we've been fortunate. We've retained the majority of our roster, but I think a lot of our guys do feel like they're getting better. And I think that's one thing too. If you're at a place, your guys need to improve. There needs to be a roadmap of improvement yearly, and they have to see that growth tangibly as well as mentally. If they don't see that, then they're probably more prone to wanting to leave. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And so I think that's another thing too that maybe people don't look into. But yeah, portal, it's a wild. I don't know. I don't know how you handle it, how you navigate it. We're still looking for the right guys and the right fit versus just, the best players. And so we'll run into that where there's a lot of really good players, but man, they're not going to fit here. It wouldn't be a good fit for them. And they'd be miserable and, they wouldn't develop the way they wanted to. So we've been a little more careful with some of the guys we're taking just because I want them to fit and have a good experience too.
I'm curious to get your take because if I'm an impact player at Tarleton, I have a chance to play professionally. That's how this works, okay? Yeah. You guys are at that level where you're on the stage. If your guys are performing, they're going to have an opportunity to be drafted, free agent stuff, and go play professional baseball. For the kids out there that are like dreaming of that in high school, and they want to be a major league baseball player, and they don't know how to navigate the steps, the stops along the way, and the progression that takes. Because you don't just roll out of bed and go to Tarleton and start as a freshman. You just don't. Some guys do, but the majority of guys don't. It is a progression upward towards professional baseball. And quite frankly, I think the level you guys are at, the Division I level, it's professional baseball with aluminum bats at this point. What advice do you have for the guys that have that traditional mindset and they want to get the most out of their career? They don't really know how to do it. They don't know where to start. What advice do you have for the guys that are looking to climb the ladder of baseball success?
I think you have to be pretty aware, self-aware of where you're at. I think that's a big thing. Like knowing where do I fit? Do I fit at the junior college level right now? That's okay. Like I played junior college baseball before I played at Ole Miss because I wasn't good enough, quite frankly, to play Division I baseball. And so that's okay. It doesn't mean you're not going to get there. It doesn't mean you're not going to play professional baseball, but you need to self-evaluate yourself and go, this is where I see myself. This is where I'm at now. And a lot of times it might take, the tough conversation with people you trust, not mom and dad, but people you trust in baseball going, this is probably where you fit right now. Doesn't mean this is where you're going to end up.
Good point.
Now let's go. It's time to get to work. And I think those are some things, those conversations, nobody ever likes to tell people the truth if it hurts them. Because you don't ever want to make anybody feel bad, but the reality is those conversations need to happen. Like we have freshmen that come every year, and I tell them every year, you will fail. It's okay. Like as a freshman, you will struggle. And we know that. The goal is when you get knocked down on the mat, just get up and keep going. And you'll look up and 3 years from now, you will be doing and playing wherever you're supposed to be playing. If it's professional baseball, great. If it's pitching on Friday night, awesome. But you're going to fail. it might be the first time you ever fail too, because a lot of guys that come out of high school don't fail a whole lot, so dealing with that failure the first time, I think, is the toughest part. But I think knowing where you're at, like where you're at right now, because a lot of guys develop, there's a lot of guys that committed to Power 4 schools that aren't there anymore, that committed when they were young. And there's a lot of junior college guys that are pitching in professional baseball that bypassed 4 years because they were that good.
That's right.
But they developed, and I think everybody develops differently. I just think you need to be pretty self-aware of where you're at and what you need to do to get better. And so I think you need to have people in your corner you trust that understand the game and can be honest with you, besides your mom and your dad, because they're going to love you regardless.
That's right.
They're going to tell you how great you are and how awesome you are. And the reality is, like, you need somebody to tell you, hey, you're not good enough. You're too slow right now. You need to get faster. Or, hey, you need to get more physical. You need to put on X amount of weight to be in the conversation and stuff like that. So I think being self-aware is like the most important thing for kids now, because they're told, hey, you're the best. Go play on this team and do this, and we'll get you signed to here in this school, whatnot. And the reality is, like, that's not how it works all the time. So,
and you know what? I think just going out and watching it and watching the levels that, to understand where you're at. I remember a conversation I had about 10 years ago. One of my favorite players of all time that I coached at the high school level, and the guy couldn't break glass with his fastball. And he said, hey, I think I'm going to try out. I'm not going to name the school, but they're playing in the national championship today. And he said, hey, Ross, do you think I can make the team? And I'm just like, I said, hey, that's not for me to decide. I have my opinions, but I said, just go watch the game. He goes and watches the games, and he calls me back. He says, no, I can't. I think it's pretty simple, I like that, being aware.
Go watch, because that's like, my dad played for Bear Bryant at Alabama growing up. Like, I always wanted to play football, but my dad was like, hey, son, like, when I played, everybody was 200 pounds. Like, you're 200 pounds, you get killed. The reality is it's not the same anymore. But we would go watch, like when I was in high school, we'd go watch Alabama baseball play, or we'd go to the SEC tournament because I'm from Birmingham, and we'd watch. And I remember going, like, I'm not too far off, but I'm still a long ways off because I don't look anything like these guys. But I remember telling my dad, like, I got a lot of work to do. He's like, you'll get there one day, though. You know what I mean? And I think that's the point, is like, I had father saying positive affirmation, like, you will get there. You're going to have to work at it. But I was self-aware enough to watch him walking in going, man, like, these guys are grown men. I'm 170 pounds, like, soaking wet. Like, I'm going to have to get in the weight room. And so, but I think it's funny, because I think when you see it on TV and then you see it in person, I think it a lot of times will help you understand, like, what it looks like, what it really looks like, especially when you can get down to field level and, like, eyeball the kids, because everybody comes in all shapes and sizes. Some of our best players are, wiry, skinny, but they can boogie, they can run. They really run. You close your eyes and look up, and they've already touched two bases before you blink. But I think there's ways to go evaluate it where you can go see it and go, yeah, I need to do a little bit more work on my end if I'm going to play at that level.
I'm a big fan of just watching baseball, and I'm curious, as the head coach of a Division I program, like, why baseball for you? And, like, do you enjoy watching it? Like, what do you have teams that you follow? Like, what does fandom look like for you? Hey, listen, I'll say this. I don't need to get a grown man's autograph or wear a grown man's jersey. I'll never do it. Like, that's stupid to me. But what does that look like for you? Like, do you have stuff that you follow? Do you watch?
Early in my career, I was watching all the guys I played with. Guys like Lance Lynn and Zach Cozart and others. You just following those guys, and man, that's really cool that I get to share the dugout with those guys, and now they're doing it on the biggest stage. Now that I'm older, most of those guys are retired. It's all the guys that I was fortunate enough to coach, and that have continued to progress and improve, on a yearly basis. And then my kids, get to watch them, so we'll be watching, like the Baltimore Orioles, for instance, and Colton Cowser's on, and every time
That's awesome.
he comes up, my son Cal's going, Dad, Colton's up, get in there,
that's awesome.
So, but it's neat because, like, would he have been a first round pick if I hadn't coached him? Absolutely. He was so uber talented. I was just fortunate enough to be a part of his journey, in college. And now he's playing at the highest level, but my son thinks he's the greatest thing ever, and so like when the game, we went and watched him 2 years ago, and I thought it was the coolest thing, which, for me is not the coolest thing ever, but for my son it's awesome. We get to go down, my wife and kids, we go down to see the Orioles guys after underneath the stadium, and like he's got an autographed ball for my son, and like my daughter, and they're they talked about it forever, and like they still talk about it, and so to me that's like fandom. I think as a father you're living it through your kids. Wow. I think that's the coolest thing. But the phone calls of like, hey coach, I'm getting married, hey coach, I'm having my first kid, like I think those are the things that I enjoy the most out of the industry we're in, because you're hopefully making an impact after baseball, which 90%, 95% will not play professional baseball. They'll be doctors, lawyers, engineers, but they're going to be husbands and they're going to be fathers. And we hope we have helped them be better husbands and fathers, I think, when they leave here. But, those are the neat parts. You get to experience some of those. So, we're actually, I think we're going to watch, Cowser and the Orioles play the Rangers at some point this year. So we'll take a trip down there and see them again. So.
And you know what? And that's how the younger generation, baseball forward, what we're doing, elevating the next generation, that's how the younger generation falls in love. I fell in love with the game watching the University of Texas. I can't stand them now, but watching the University of Texas, Kirk Dressendorfer, Scott Bryant, Art Butcher in 88, 89. And I remember going to games at Dishfach and saying, I want to be one of those guys. And I imagine your kids, like the access they have to those guys, man, what a cool experience that must be. Awesome. I want to know this as a dad. So like, as you go, that's got to be pretty cool, man. Like as you go around town, obviously everyone in Stephenville knows who the heck you are at this point. Are your kids like, Dad, you're a celebrity? Like, what do everybody's always saying hi to you. What's that like?
I think it's funny because I joke everywhere we've been. I think my wife knows everybody in about 6 months, and I'm still trying to learn everybody's name. She's, so-and-so, she lives there. So she might be the celebrity of the family. But no, it's pretty cool because my kids, they're starting to understand that, like, hey, we're playing on TV more, and like, so-and-so said this at school. And I always tell them, like, they'll probably say some bad things about me. So you just got to, like, you got to just not say anything. We're not gonna get called in the principal's office.
Daddy's got to win.
Yeah, Daddy's got to win. That's right. But it's neat. I think it's neat for our kids, and they get to, road trip from time to time. My son, he'll ride the bus. We go, on a midweek game. He went with me to Texas Tech this year, and we actually got to stay the night there, which was pretty cool. So me and him got to spend some time together. We got our teeth kicked in, but like I at least got to enjoy my son for a night and hang out with him and just talk, just because you miss a lot of those moments as a father. So you're trying to make up time as fast as you can, but yeah, it's pretty neat. I mean, we're kind of big. It's a big, we're all big fish in a little pond here in Stephenville. But I think the nice thing is everybody here is pretty down to earth. They're not, they don't look at it like you're coaching at, college baseball. That it's like it's Fuller, the guy that mows his yard every day and does a decent job weed eating. I probably could give him some pointers, and I probably will. At some point if he's outside.
Do you get those lines nice and straight, Coach?
They're straight. They're perfect. Yeah, my father-in-law's professional. He's a professional yardsman, and he told me for the first time in like I think it's 18 years that I've been married to his daughter, like, your yard looks pretty good. That's about
like, oh my gosh. Yeah, baby. Hey, and that's so good. That's so good. Talking with Fuller Smith, Tarleton State. Coach, about 5 more minutes here on the Baseball Forward podcast. What is the most difficult thing being a college baseball coach?
Most difficult thing, I think, is managing, depending on where you're at in life, is managing the work-life balance. Like, I think that's the toughest part, especially when your kids are younger. That for me, it might not be for other people, but the work-life balance of being able to like turn it off when I go home. It's really tough to do because you're always thinking about it. You're always, worried about something that you need to get done. But, being able to turn that off and just spend time with your family, that's the thing I struggle with the most. I think because I'm very type A and driven, I just feel like there's always something I could be doing better. But a lot of times it needs to be on the flip side. What can I do better with my family? Can I be more intentional with the time I spend with them? But I think that, especially with the portal, and there's just so much recruiting going on that way now, it can take away from the time you spend with your family, which I think is, if you're leaving a legacy, obviously you're leaving a legacy with the men in the locker room, but ultimate legacies with your kids and your wife and your family. So I get checked, from time to time on that.
If you were giving a younger version of yourself, let's just, how can I, where I'm going with this. I want to phrase it the right way.
I think
you're giving your younger self is giving older self. If you were giving yourself advice, like, what do you wish you would have known earlier in life about coaching that you kind of started to figure out the older you got?
It's not that big of a deal.
Golly, good guess.
The things you think at 22, 24, 26 are like the biggest deal in the world, or you're worried about them, it's not that big of a deal. And like 90% of things, like, it's true, 90% of the things you worry about will never happen anyway.
Wow.
So, like, why are you worried about them? You know what I mean? So, but I think, that would probably be my biggest thing. There was like the first 10 years of my life coaching, like, career, was just like I got to be good at X, Y, and Z, and I'm worried about all this other stuff. And the reality is, like, 10 years from now, 2 weeks from now, probably 10 hours from now, it's not going to be that big of a deal. You know what I mean?
Where is the light? Where does you radiate? You beam. Where does the light come from? You, like, I'm picturing myself.
On my head right now, it's not.
He's got a nice bald head, everybody, if you watch this on YouTube. But seriously, I imagine your guys love playing for you because you're a player's guy. Like, you just seem very relatable with probably multiple generations. Where does the light come from within you? Like, what keeps you so positive and upbeat on everything?
I'm just having fun. Like, literally, we're playing, like, I think everybody in life should look at it. You're playing with house money. Like, literally, you're playing with house money. Like, tomorrow, Ross, if I told you, hey, you're not doing this podcast anymore, you're going to have to go do something else. You'd be like, oh, sure, no problem. I can do it. No big deal.
That's right.
What do you want me to do? You want me be a lawyer, doctor, whatever. Hey, I'll be a roofer. No big deal. I can go do that tomorrow. So, I mean, to me, I haven't worked a day in my life. And don't tell my wife that. Don't tell anybody. It's still a job.
You pay those bills, baby. I know that.
But the reality is, like, to me, we're just having fun doing what we enjoy. And I really love what I do. I truly love it. So I think that's why I'm probably enjoying it a lot more than maybe some other people enjoy their jobs.
Yes.
But I don't know. To me, it's just fun, man. It's baseball. Like, my first love was basketball. Like,
really?
Yeah. First love was basketball, but, like, can't jump, could barely shoot. Like,
you could shoot. You could shoot.
The guys think they can. See, like, I got a rule. Like, I'll let you play tackle football on concrete. You're not playing basketball because, like, I've seen the ankles. I've seen all this. Yeah, we're not doing that. But no, it's I tell them when you're finished, like, we'll one-on-one, me and you, like, I'll stretch the Achilles out, and, like, we'll hoop for a little bit, and I'll show you a thing or two. So.
Man.
We have fun, Ross. I mean, I like anything in life. If you're not enjoying it, man, and having fun when you're there, like, you're find something else to do. Seriously.
I beg and I plead with the baseball forward audience, parents. Put your kids around men like this. because this game is so stinking hard and it's so frustrating and it's so like there are days when you just want to and then there's days when you're like, oh my gosh, I figured it out. But I need from a player's perspective, be around somebody who realizes it's just not that big of a deal, and let's have some fun doing it, right?
Yeah, we'll like that's the thing, Ross. We'll coach them hard. Like I'll get after them, and like a lot of guys don't realize it. Like I'll get after them on the field, and we'll coach them hard. But as soon as I walk out that gate, I'm done. Like I'm done with practice. Practice is over. Like I got my arm around you. I'm gonna be cracking a joke. We're gonna be laughing, and like first time they see it, they're like, "Man, he's like this is different. Like it's crazy." And I'm like, "Well, I told you guys when we're done with baseball for the day, I'm done. Like I've shifted gears to family and fellowship and relationships. Like,
amen.
I want to coach you hard out here, but when we're done, we walk off this field, like, and we're gonna eat, we're gonna break bread, we're gonna have fun together. Like, this doesn't define us. It's just something we enjoy doing together.
Amen.
You know. So.
Amen. All right, I got last question for you. Let's talk about some walkout music. If you were playing today, or maybe even we had walkout music when we played, but okay, what was your walkout music, or what would it be? Give me some stuff. What would you be coming out to?
It was back then. It was Dr. Dre explosive instrumentals. Like it was yeah,
West Coast.
No music. It was just kind of a beat because I would get like super primal, so I needed like something just kind of mellow out. So. But no, I don't, man, there's a lot. I like every genre, like 90s rock, alternative, like Texas country. It'd probably be like some Treaty Oak revival song, like Treaty Oak kick right now. So, and being in Stephenville with the Larry Joe Taylor Fest, like you're going to probably have to choose Texas country, I would imagine.
It's the best.
It is.
Gosh. And like I am convinced. I'll tell you what, I've really been getting into Zach Bryan lately, and my 11-year-old son, he just started picking up the guitar and playing, and like he's like, Dad, I'm like, and he's all do it. I'm like, go play a guitar, screw baseball. Yes. Man. Coach Fuller Smith, you know what? It is a pleasure. And I truly, man, like it is so much fun watching Tarleton State baseball and where you guys are at. Your coaching staff, you got a bunch of dudes. They are good quality men. They're prompt. They're courtesy. They are courteous. They are respectful of the people that they engage with. And I'm so happy for you guys. Give us a 30 give us a takeout. And I'll hit the outro, and we're going to be out of the Baseball Forward podcast.
Appreciate you guys. So you guys, listen, if y'all ever need anything, call Ross, all right?
Oh, hey.
We love, you guys, like, I know everybody's on this journey together, man, you know, players, coaches alike. At the end of the day, it's not where you start. It's where you finish, all right? Where you finish.
Amen. Fuller Smith, Baseball Forward podcast, episode 107. We'll see you guys. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Baseball Forward podcast. For exclusive content, offerings, and more information, visit us at baseballforward.com. And don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel at baseball_forward. I'm your host, Ross Hawley, and I will see you next time.